Completing the square is a really useful tool you could be asked to do at any point during your A-level studies of mathematics. Now, it's a really useful tool because it helps you to sketch quadratics really quickly by giving you the point at which the quadratic reflects and the minimum point, the lowest point on the graph. Now, if you think about any quadratic which take a parabola shape like that, they reflect, and using completing a square enables you to find the line at which that reflects, and also it helps us to find the minimum point. And we also will know where it crosses the y-axis from the question given. So let's have a look at a couple of examples of completing the square, and then we'll sketch the graph for the two questions. Now, completing the square is really quite simple. What you look at is, the really important thing to look at is this 6x. Now what we do is we half this 6x to make it 3. So we go x plus 3 squared. Now we're just going to look at what would happen if I expanded that, what I've just written there. So it'd be x plus 3 times x plus 3. Which if you expand that, you get x squared plus 6x plus 9. Now we didn't want this extra add 9, so what we always must do when completing the square is subtract whatever in the bracket is squared. So whatever the value is, so here it's positive 3, we must square that and subtract it. Then we add on the 11 we already had. Okay, now the last step is to tidy up what we've got here, this minus 9 and plus 11. So it becomes x plus 3 squared, add 2. Now what we can do is we can quickly sketch quite a lot of this graph from the information we've been given. So we've got our x-axis and our y-axis. Now we should know that this plus 11 is where it crosses the y-axis. And that's the same for any curve or straight line. That value on its own is where it crosses the y-axis. So we've got here 11. Now the point at which it reflects, this graph, is at the opposite sign to this. So instead of x plus 3, we're going to reflect to x minus 3. So it'll be here. And we know as well that its minimum point is at plus 2. So here. And then this is roughly what the quadratic is going to look like. And this point here must be minus 3, 2. And that's why completing the square is a really useful tool. Right, let's have a look at another example. So it says x squared minus 12x minus 7. Now remember, the first step is to half the value in front of the x. So it's going to be x minus 6 squared. Now if we were to expand this, we'd have minus 6 squared, which is 36, and we don't want 36, so we're going to subtract that 36, and we've already got a minus 7. So if we just tidy up these two parts here, we're going to get minus 36 minus 7, which is minus 43, so the final answer will be x minus 6 squared minus 43. Now, as I said before, let's have a quick think about what this graph might look like. So remember that minus 7 we're told in the question is where it crosses the y-axis, so at minus 7. Because it's minus 6, the point at which it reflects is going to be at plus 6, so x equals 6. And its minimum is going to be all the way down at minus 43. So it'll be all the way down here somewhere. So minus 7, 43. So it will look something along these lines. Obviously it might be a bit more stretched than that, but I haven't drawn a perfect diagram. But I've labelled the key coordinates, and that's what they're looking for in an exam. So remember, when completing a square, you halve the value in front of the x, and then you must subtract that value squared.